We live in an age of mobility, Mr. Scott. That's why I never hesitate to ask an attorney if he's willing to relocate.
Well, sounds like you do this sort of thing quite often.
Oh, no. I'm not really a headhunter.
Thank you.
But every few years, I find it necessary to go outside of Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside to find new blood.
Like you did with my car?
Oh, no. It's very unusual for one of our senior partners to leave us, but then one did. Of course, we want to replace him with the best possible man.
Oh, you couldn't have done any better than Mike. But frankly, for selfish reasons, I'm glad he turned you down.
Yes. Well, for my selfish reasons, I hope you will seriously consider the offer I've made you. Now, of course, it cannot bring a senior partnership at this time. I mean, your youth makes that impossible.
Wow. I never expected one this soon in my career.
But there are other benefits that I can promise you. A great deal more money than you're making at the present time. A steady stream of important cases. And the management of a full department at Seward, Paxton, and Whiteside. And in time, well, perhaps that partnership I offered Mr. Carr.
Wow, that's a terrific offer. But frankly, well, I feel the same way Mike does about
relocating. Yes, I know. Well, you see, most people do at first. I mean, they think of their family and their friends, their homes.
Well, as a matter of fact, I do have a home. A brand new one. We just moved in. And, of course, I have my friends here.
But not much family, as I understand it.
No. Just a wife. A wife and some in-laws. And a mother-in-law.
And you would find it difficult to leave them?
Well, my wife is very close to her brother and his wife. And she's involved with her mother. Very involved.
Well, how's that one look, all right?
Looks fine to me, April, really. You're a much better typist than you realize.
Oh, thank you. Slow. Can't tell you how many times I had to type this over just until it was perfect.
You know, you're not hired as a typist. You're Margot's personal assistant.
Well, I understand that, but Winter did a lot of Margot's typing. She told me she did. Do you think maybe it would help if I took a refresher course?
Listen, speaking of refresher courses, don't you think it's about time for us to get out of here? You got to be back here by 9:30. It only gives us a couple of hours for our leisurely dinner.
I'm ready. Just as soon as I talk to Greg about the tapes I'm going to need for tonight's show.
I knew there'd be something else.
Oh, it's only going to take me about 10 minutes.
Well, is there anything I can do to help?
No. You should, if you asked me, be getting ready to leave. Didn't you say that Draper was going to pick you up in a minute?
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
You know, if he gets here in time, maybe we can make it a leisurely dinner for 4.
Sure.
That's okay with you, Doctor?
Yes, it's okay with me as long as I get something to eat. That's all. I haven't had any food since, well, my hospital cafeteria breakfast. That's an experience I sort of like to forget about.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
Poor baby. Sounds like you're back to working like a mule again.
Oh, listen, mules don't use stethoscopes. I didn't mean that to sound like a complaint, anyway. I had no illusions about medicine when I went into it. I knew it was not a light profession.
Well, I will tell you that I'm very glad for your sake that Margot made you and Nicole that offer to spend the weekend at Palace Park. I'm sure it's just what the doctor would order.
Well, couldn't do any harm.
Oh, come on. You will absolutely love it. Just think. A whole weekend with nothing to do but maybe play golf. How about tennis? Swimming? Or maybe just lying by the pool, being waited on hand and foot. Now, come on. I think everyone needs that kind of treatment now and then.
I'm not going to disagree with you. As a matter of fact, I'm beginning to look forward to it. Believe it or not, I enjoy not working once in a while.
Oh? Well, good. You know, I think there might be something else that you can accomplish while you're up there besides having a good time.
Really? What would that be?
Well, Eliot is going to be there.
Oh. You think we ought to entertain him? Is that it? Well, I suppose you're right. I suppose it'd only be common courtesy to ask him to join us, maybe for dinner, once.
Well, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind. I thought, since he'll be there alone, maybe you could take advantage of the opportunity and, Well, maybe talk to him privately.
Talk about what? Oh. You mean this business of him carrying on with his maid?
Well, that wasn't what I meant. No, that was what I meant.
April, do you honestly think that Eliot Dorn would appreciate my giving him that kind of friendly advice?
Well, you are a friend of Margot's.
Friend or not, I don't think I have the right to go horsewhipping her straying
come
husband.
on, I didn't mean that you should beat him up or anything. I just thought maybe if you could talk. All right, forget it. Forget it. You're right. It's a silly idea, and I'm sure he would resent your talking to him. If nothing else, he would sure resent knowing that I told you.
Listen, April, I don't think that Margot is quite as blind to Eliot's faults as you think she is. As a matter of fact, it seems to me that she may have decided to accept the man the way he is, warts and all. And if that is the case, then I think you ought to respect her decision.
Why do you have to be so right all the time? I'll tell you one thing, though. If Eliot doesn't keep to his promise about not seeing Sarah anymore, well, then I don't see any reason why I shouldn't tell my own mother the truth.
Here we are, Mr. Dorn. Picked this up at a stationery store this afternoon.
Are you sure this scheme of yours is going to work?
It's foolproof, Mr. Dorn. If you do it correctly. You'll be rid of Mr. Antoine in a month, maybe even sooner.
Well, then, let's get the ball rolling.
Why not?
Hello, who's this? Hans? Is Mr. Antoine on the premises? I see. Well, tell him to come into my office as soon as he gets back, okay? Oh, Mickey, this is quite an ingenious scheme. How did you think of it?
I've seen guys kicked out of joints for less.
Believe me, I would love to do the kicking personally in this case.
Listen, how did you let this guy get where he is in the first place? I mean, this is your joint. You should have the last word about how it's run.
You see, Mickey, my wife's financial interest in the unicorn gives her a certain right of decision. That's why I have to do things in a roundabout way, you understand?
Now, me, I like the direct way.
Yeah, you seem the type. Tell me, Mickey, what are your ambitions, if you have any?
Comfort, Mr. Dorn. Nothing but comfort. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important thing in life.
Yeah, very few people are willing to admit it.
I'm willing. You give me a shot at being comfortable. I'll do just about anything.
Well, comfort invariably requires money. You won't get much of that working behind a bar, will you?
I'm not worried about money right now, Mr. Dorn.
Oh, you certainly are unusual, Mr. Dials. Oh, here's our friend coming now.
Well, I'll get out of your hair. Oh, listen, don't forget the notebook. It's important.
I won't, Vicky.
Eliot, you wish to see me?
Yes, Antoine, please come in.
Look, I'm very busy right now. There are several
No, it won't take long. Have a seat.
Eliot, if you've called me in here because you have some more complaints to make, I have a few of my own. To start with, I understand that you are planning on taking a weekend off, and you are leaving your friend, that bartender, out there in charge of the unicorn.
Antoine, I really do not wish to talk about that. I had something pleasanter in mind.
What could that possibly be?
Oh, but your income, Antoine. I want to talk to you about a raise.
What?
As you know, Antoine, I did promise you a raise as soon as the unicorn got into the black. Well, we're almost there, even though our margin of profit is still very small.
Eliot, exactly how much of a raise did you have in mind?
Not so fast, Antoine. You see, if I just simply increased your salary by, let's say, 7%.
7%? That's ridiculous. It's preposterous. 7% of chicken feed is just a little more chicken feed.
Antoine, there are such things as wage and price guidelines. And you have heard of the inflation problem, haven't you?
Eliot, I don't understand any of this stuff. But if you are telling me that you want to make Washington the culprit, you want to use Washington as the pretext not to give me the money that I deserve, then I'll just go see Margot and let's see what she has to say.
Take it easy, Antoine. You haven't heard me out. What I'm suggesting is something that could make both of us very happy.
Well, I can't conceive of anything that could produce such a miracle.
Antoine, I would like you to have all the money you need. But let's face it. If I were to increase your salary by even, let's say, 50%, how much of that would you really keep?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about taxes. Do you know how much I have to take out of your paycheck every month? For Social Security this and withholding that?
Oh, don't I know it? It's dreadful.
Now, the unicorn is still not a horn of plenty. And since you'd be giving Uncle Sam most of your increase anyway, why don't we do this? Why don't you just simply take cash? Straight from the cash box.
You mean whenever I needed money, I could just reach in and take whatever?
Oh, Antoine, I'd expect you to be reasonable about it, of course. I don't want you to take all the money. But, you know, sometimes when you need to, let's say, $10, $20, even $50, you just help yourself. You know, you'll reduce the total intake of the unicorn, which will reduce the taxes of the unicorn, which will make me very happy. And you'll have tax-free money in your pocket. Now, isn't that sweet?
I really don't understand any of this. But somehow it just doesn't, well, it doesn't sound quite right.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Antoine. As a senior member of the firm, you have the right to do such things.
Well, there has to be a limit, Eliot. I mean, if you took what you wanted and I took what I wanted whenever we wanted, there wouldn't be any profits. There wouldn't be any money left to pay the bills.
I only take small amounts of money, I can assure you. But you just take what you need. All you have to do is to let me know how much.
How would I do that?
Simple. You keep a diary.
A diary?
Yes. You just jot down the date and the amount you took. And every week you just hand me this little book so I can know how much is gone.
Well, it sounds simple enough, but is it legal?
Oh, my dear Antoine, there is no way for Uncle Sam or the IRS or the FBI or the CIA, for that matter, to know how many bills come into our cash box and how many bills are removed. This kind of thing is done all the time. What do you say?
Well, if that's the way you want to handle it, Eliot, and I wouldn't have to report it?
Of course not.
No taxes?
Not a penny.
I like that. You know, I love cash. Oh, yes. Did I tell you I hate credit cards? Oh, I hate them. But cash, it's real. Listen, Eliot, I have to go back to work.
Yes, yes.
Look, have a lovely weekend.
I will.
Divine, don't you just love the colors? So do you think that the shoulders are too bare?
The answer is yes to all three questions.
Now, look at this. Can't you just see me at Palace Park in this little number?
You know, she's not going to be able to see you at Palace Park, so why don't you just sort of model it for us now?
Right.
No, my dears, they really don't have any time for a fashion show. I just dropped by to see how you were and to find out if you were still planning your trip this weekend.
We are definitely going, as you can see.
We're so sorry you can't come with us. We're going to have such a good time. Besides, I could probably use your company. I expect my famous husband will be on the phone half the time.
Well, now, Raven, if you really feel the need of company, perhaps I will go with you. Raven, don't look so worried. That was only an idle thought. I really don't have time to rearrange my life and my schedule on such short notice.
Well, I think it's a very good thought, so I will do the rearranging. Call Palace Park right now.
Wait a minute now, don't be silly. It's very difficult to get reservations. And when I called 2 weeks ago, we were very lucky to get ours.
Well, we might be luckier still. There might be a last-minute cancellation.
Well, it wouldn't matter if there were, Logan. Thank you very much. But the idea is clearly out of the question.
All right.
You see, I have a dinner party this Saturday with some of my political friends. And the subject I'm hoping they'll discuss is you.
Me?
Well, the party has to nominate a candidate for your office this month. And naturally, I assume it will be you.
Well, I wouldn't assume that if I were you. As far as this administration is concerned, I'm tainted by this whole Winter Austin affair.
Oh, my dear, they'd be foolish to drop you for some unknown. In any case, I may be able to get the drift of things.
Oh, that's very kind of you. You're a very kind woman. Heck of a babysitter.
And I would have gladly offered you Jamie, except that you told me yourself that you were too busy this weekend.
What I said was, I was hoping you could find a weekend retreat that would accept children. I think it's wrong for you to be away from that baby for the whole weekend.
We were gone longer on our honeymoon. Come on, if you keep this up, my husband is going to change his mind about taking me.
No. We're definitely committed. I sent him the money.
Of course, Logan, if you did change your mind, you could go with me to that dinner party and do a little fence mending of your own.
Oh, no, you don't. I am not going to spend this glorious weekend in a room with a bunch of politicians.
You know, I heard it's going to rain this glorious weekend.
It is not going to rain this glorious weekend. It's going to be perfect, and we're going to spend the entire weekend outside in the fresh country air.
And I'm sure Jamie would have loved that.
Jamie is also going to spend the weekend in the fresh country air because he is going to Oakdale with April and Draper. So you see, I've thought of everything.
You usually do, my dear.
Jamie is going to have just as good a time as we are, I assure you.
Well, I wasn't thinking of the fresh air so much, Raven. I was thinking that it would have been very good for Jamie to be with both his parents this weekend for a change.
He'll be very happy with April. She absolutely adores him.
Yeah, I'm not sure Draper's so crazy about the idea, though.
He'll do anything she wants. April has him wrapped around her little finger. And Jamie has April wrapped around his.
I see.
Poor April. She would have been a wonderful mother. It's too bad she can't have any kids. Guess she'll just have to do with a substitute. But just once in a while. That's all I mean.
I'm all set. Sorry it took so long.
That's all right. April and I had a nice little chat.
Well, as you can see, Draper isn't here yet, so there goes our foursome.
What time did he say he was going to pick you up?
Oh, around 7-ish. What time is it now? 7:45?
Yeah, we better get going. Come on.
Yep.
Oh, hi.
Huh, just in time. You almost missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime.
And what opportunity is that?
Join us for dinner. Only if you want to, of course.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to afford to linger over a dinner table tonight. Some things I have to do.
Uh-oh. Sounds like I'm going to get a cold sandwich for dinner.
Look, you were the one who wasn't free for dinner earlier, remember?
Well, remember, it wasn't my fault.
Some things just came up.
It's all right. It's all right. Forget about it, Draper. We'll all do dinner together some other time. We'll plan it in advance, all right?
That's terrific.
Yeah, well, I'll say goodnight then.
See you tomorrow. Have a good dinner.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye. Why didn't you want to have dinner with Miles and Nicole?
Because I want to have dinner with you all by myself.
Why?
Because I love you and adore you.
Oh, something tells me there's another reason.
Well, there is. There's something I want to talk over with you, something very important.
Something that you couldn't talk about in front of Miles and Nicole.
That's right.
Okay, well, come on, what is it? Don't just stand there, give me a hint.
It's a job offer.
What?
April, I got a terrific job offer tonight with another law firm.
Now, wait a second, you're kidding. You're not really thinking of leaving Mike, are you?
Well, this Philip Seward didn't come down to see me specifically. He came down to see Mike to see if Mike were interested.
The same position.
Well, yeah, it's the same job, but it wouldn't carry as much weight if I took it. You see, they offered Mike a senior partnership. His name was going to be right up there on the door. Can you imagine that? Having your name alongside Seward, Paxton, Whiteside.
Well, who are they?
Who are they?
Yeah.
One of the most prestigious law firms in the country. They handle the biggest corporations, the most important Washington...
Wait a second. Draper, you're not even that kind of lawyer.
I know, I'm a criminal attorney. But the man who headed up their criminal department retired.
Headed up? You mean the whole division?
Well, Seward said that he couldn't give me a full partnership right away, but In the future, the very near future.
What's so terrific about all this, though?
April, I'm not talking about some little two-man firm here in Monticello. I'm talking about a New York firm with a couple of dozen attorneys.
New York? You mean, you didn't tell me he was out of town?
Well, the firm has no need to open a branch here in Monticello.
Well, Draper, I thought that's what this was all about, that they were going to open a...
No, April, the firm is in New York. April, it's a terrific job, the best job I've ever been offered, a dream job.
Well, that would mean moving. That would mean leaving our new home, our family, friends.
April, people relocate all the time. Hey, come on now. Aren't you impressed? I mean, aren't you really glad that I was even offered this kind of job?
Well, sure, yeah. Of course I'm impressed. Draper, I'm also a little scared. Afraid that you might want to accept it.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find, always on our mind, and frustrated days pass without sight, the edge of night, half dark, half light, as we watch our hearts trying to hold the tenderness that we once had, halfway